I've been out on the Victorian goldfields as a full-time gold prospector for almost 10 years now, and there's one thing that I've always wanted more than anything else, and that is a real-life treasure map with a big shiny red X on it. And believe it or not, treasure maps do actually exist. I've had some luck in locating old parish maps, old geological surveys that will literally put you right on top of gold. However, fast forward to today and we are on the precipice of changing gold prospecting forever. Detector Maps is bringing out LiDAR mapping systems for the entire state of Victoria. And with their eyes set on not only other states in Australia, but also mapping services around the world, you can bet your bottom dollar the face of gold prospecting is about to change forever. Now I know we're here for the schmancy LiDAR, and I'm going to get to that very shortly, but I have to cover these other areas first. When you open your app, which will be available both on Android and iOS, I'm currently using the early access features, as you can see up here on my PC, you will see something like this. In the top left corner, we have some map overlays. If you open that up, one of the first things that you're probably going to want to check out is the historic gold section. This shows you where previous mines have existed, as well as significant gold finds, including the shallow and deep alluvial leads. If we turn all of them on over the Bendigo area, we can see our screen just lights up with data. And this is essentially the same data that was on the Earth Resources website, except it's been overlaid onto the maps for you already. Whereas I was going back in the day on Google Maps trying to bounce back and forth, attempting to marry things up, this is much easier. So these sections here are showing where the diggers came through and pulled out a lot of their shallow alluvial gold. And these areas can be very good for going out with detectors and pans today to pick up the gold that the old timers left behind, particularly in areas like Bendigo where there wasn't a lot of water. And the dots here show both historic mine shafts as well as gold occurrences. So this could be a hard rock mine, this could be an alluvial working, but it's usually to do with like a registered mine that the government had oversight on. Clicking on any one of these dots brings up a plethora of information. The main one that you probably want to be looking for is who the source was, because this allows you to then look that person up and actually further your research. So now that we know what the historic gold part's all about, let's go down to the two other things that are going to help you: watercourses and roads. These are going to help you navigate around your map. I strongly suggest turning them on, otherwise it can be a little bit tricky in figuring out exactly where you are. For the purposes of this video, I have left the watercourses and roads off. It makes it a little bit clearer for a video perspective to present to you. And we're going to go into the bright area. The reason for this is this mountainous region here is home to a lot of Northeast Victoria's gold, and we should see some really interesting stuff. And it's finally time to show you why this mapping service is so damn cool. If you look on the left hand side, you scroll all the way down in your map layers, you're going to find LiDAR Hillside. Now, a quick explanation. If you're looking at this area as is through Google Maps or even Earth Resources, you're going to see some topography, you're going to understand where the rivers are, but you're not going to be able to see the ground, and that's because of these annoying green things that are just in the way. These are called trees, and LiDAR removes them. Let's click the magic button. Oh yeah! Of course I got slow internet that doesn't want to load nice and efficiently, and I could reshoot this, but I'm not going to. Now we can clearly see the actual ground, the rock, the soil and dirt that's hiding underneath those trees. And this is important because coupled with the other information, we can pinpoint to the centimeter where gold mines are. Let's zoom out a little bit and turn on historic gold occurrences and historic mine shafts. And straight away, we have a lot of potential. I'm going to look for a little hot spot, somewhere there's a nice cluster of mines, which kind of looks like in this area, and we're going to zoom in on it. And we can clearly see a lot of not only digger holes, but the infrastructure, the roadways that they put in there to access those holes. This gives us all the information we need, not only to find where the gold mine is, but also how to access it easier via these old roads. And just for reference, if we didn't have this LiDAR system from Detector Maps, this is what we would be looking at. You would have no idea anything man-made, yet alone gold, would be in that area. And if we bring it back, it is literally like getting a treasure map, except the X is grey. and not an X, it's a map. I think at this point it's worth putting a small point of caution in here. These sort of areas are extremely difficult to get to and extremely dangerous to enter. And for that, I just want to pass you off to future Chris for a little bit to explain something. I'll be right back in about 30 seconds with more maps. There has to be a small caveat put in this video about safety, and I know a lot of people will roll their eyes at this, but I am being dead serious. The people who know what it's like to be out in the wilds of Australia or wherever you are in the world and spend a lot of time outdoors understand the inherent risks that come with exploring old mine sites. There have been several situations where I've got myself into some extremely sketchy spots, and I've taken that risk upon my own shoulders. I'm a well-versed outdoorsman and I know what I'm doing. There are a lot of people that are going to get this information in their hands and they can easily use that information to get themselves into trouble because they get themselves into situations that they don't fully understand or appreciate. Before you go exploring old mines, consult people who know exactly what it is to explore an old mine, the safety procedures that you need to put in place, things like gas meters, respirators, EPIRBs, safety equipment like hard hats, and simply letting people know where you are and when you will be returning. The only person this matters to is you. If you go out to an old mine site, you owe it to yourself to have continued health and life by making sure some of these safety procedures and precautions are put in place. For demonstration purposes, I've turned off the historic gold occurrences and historic mine shafts, and I'm going to draw your attention to what I believe to be the most important part of our map layers, and that's the geochemistry section. Soils, rock chips, and streams. This is where data from things like exploration companies has been collected on the concentrations of gold within certain areas. And if we turn these on, you're going to get a bunch of data points. These data points are really important, but there's a caveat to them. You don't know how old they are, and things change in gold mining very rapidly, so take these with a grain of salt. When we click on them, we're going to get a bunch more information, and the main one we're looking for is these two, AUPPB and the method. The method is going to give you an idea of how big the pieces are, because pan concentrate means that the pieces have to be visible, and AUPPB is gold in parts per billion. And in this case, we have 1.3 million parts per billion. This is quite a rich little deposit of gold. Bear in mind, this is not an actual deposit. This is just giving you a broad look at how much gold is in the soil at any particular location. Couple that with the LiDAR maps and you can start marrying some things up. If we look in the hills here, we clearly have workings and people searching for hard rock areas. These workings may feed down this gully, and that might have a direct reflection on some of the results that you see here. 1.69 million, 5.1 million, and then it starts dropping off back to 403,000. So using this data, coupled with the ability to now see where the mines are, means that it gives you a more accurate picture of where you should take a detector or where you should be panning. Broadly speaking, it also helps you identify what the old timers were doing in any particular location. We can see in places like here, a clearly defined work area. Perhaps these gravel pits are still containing gold from these streams eroding through them. And we can also see that they chase gold up this gully. And that data point tells us that there was over 1.3 million particles per billion panned from that tributary. So whilst everyone else is working in here, maybe taking a journey up one of these little side channels would be worth your time. In fact, if we follow this all the way to the top, we actually have a bunch of hard rock mines sitting right at the very head, and I'm guessing that's why they chase the gold up from the very bottom. Gold tends to settle in the least steep parts. This would be an extremely steep gully with how dark this terrain is, and it seems to flatten out a little bit here. I actually wonder what would happen if we turned on historic gold occurrences and old mine shafts. Oh, they are marked. Sometimes they're not marked. And I mean, that's the other great benefit of the LiDAR, is that even if these weren't marked, you could go through and actually find them even though they didn't have a reference point. And again, you can't see them through the treetops. This is wild. This is just wild technology. Look at that. The full version of this app is coming out on the 27th of July, and it's going to have a lot more features than what I've shown you here. For now, I want to show you one of the cool features that I really like, and it's so simple. It's just a measurement feature. So if we want to know, for example, how far this cut is, it's 36 meters. Or if we want to know how big a tailings pile is, we can measure that too. That is a 20-meter high tailings pile. That thing is huge. And again, one of the really cool features of this particular app is just being able to pull away the LiDAR and see that you would have no idea that mine was even there. Yet alone trying to use just those data points, which sometimes can be really far off. Often when the mines are marked, the point will be up here, and in steep terrain, it is very easy for GPS to be out by a significant amount. So knowing exactly where these mines are makes it a lot easier to just get straight on top of them. This does look like an extensive series of mines, doesn't it? Look at that. That is really cool. I wonder how many of them are collapsed and how many of them are still open. Now, if you're looking at purchasing this mapping system, it's going to cost you around 250 Australian dollars for the Victorian section. And this is a really reasonable fee. It costs, on average, about $150 per square kilometer of LiDAR mapping. And if you look at how much LiDAR mapping we have available here, you are getting an absolute bargain. And $250 isn't a lot of money when you consider that you only need 1.5 grams of gold to pay that back. And this is going to put you right on top of it without any trees. As much as I am excited about this mapping system, it's going to save me a lot of time. I mean, we've already found several mines that we've been looking for almost 5 years now, and it's going to be able to walk us literally right up to the entrance of it. I am a little bit sad at the loss of sort of the adventurous spirit. I've spent so much time, the better part of 10 years, hiking and traveling around the bush of northeast Victoria looking for lost gold mines, usually based off a small Trove article that I found, maybe a mud map that a geological surveyor penciled in back in the 1800s, or even a story at the pub. And those were some of the best, most exciting adventures of my life. Whilst these mapping systems will definitely make it easier for me to get onto where these spots are, there is that little pang of loss that it is going to be easy. And maybe that's masochistic of me, but I think some of the hardcore prospectors out there will understand that that adventurous spirit is not something that everyone has. And it's a skill that I hope isn't lost with the advent of this fantastic new technology. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you want to help support the channel, check out theoldmoldy.com.au where we sell pay dirt, gold nuggets, and gemstones. Hopefully we'll meet you guys out in the bush. And until next time, please give your dog a big scratch behind the ears for me.